Trading is one of the best ways to improve your fantasy football team. So let's talk about some players you can trade away to make your team better. Let's start at the running back position. I'm going to really quickly touch on Antonio Gibson because I've talked about him a lot. You should have already traded him away, but if you still have him, this is probably your last chance. He scored a touchdown. He's putting up decent numbers, but Brian Robinson is very close to hitting the field, and when Brian Robinson does, whether he's a starter or not, he's going to kill Antonio Gibson's value. So I'm not going to deep dive into Antonio Gibson here because I got other guys I want to talk about. But if you still have Antonio Gibson, great. You've been riding him for 3 weeks, but now is the time to move him while he has value. Go get somebody who can actually help you long term. All right, let's start with a big name at the running back position, and that is Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook has not reached 14 fantasy points yet on the season. So how can Dalvin Cook be a sell high? Well, 2 reasons. Number 1, he's named Dalvin Cook, and people have trouble letting go of names. They see that name Dalvin Cook, they think elite running back, they think stud running back. And number 2, he just had a nice game against Detroit. Yeah, he fumbled, but he had almost 100 yards. He scored a touchdown. People think Dalvin Cook is still going to be okay. I've talked about it. He showed signs last year of slowing down. He's showing signs of slowing down. And this isn't the same offense. This isn't an offense that's going to just lean on the running game. They're going to be more of a throwing offense. And this defense isn't giving them good game script. They're falling behind. Even to the Lions, they're having to play from behind. Also, we're seeing more Alexander Mattison than we've ever seen before. Not just when Dalvin Cook got hurt and left that game, but even during the game. Mattison is getting a decent amount of run. This isn't just Dalvin Cook getting 20 plus carries and 3 to 5 receptions anymore in this offense. He'll be fine the rest of the season, but you can still move him as an elite fantasy running back because people still believe in their head that Dalvin Cook will be okay and he will be an elite running back. I don't see it happening for him this season. Trade him while you can before his value gets even lower. All right, I talked about this guy last week. I'm going to talk about him again because he had another nice game, and that's Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Look, I had Edwards-Helaire as a breakout, and maybe I'm going to regret this because maybe he's just going to be able to do this all season long. But when you look at Edwards-Helaire's results, you think, this guy's awesome. I'm so happy I have him. But when you look at his usage, you think, how is this happening? Only 7 carries again here in week 3. I don't think he's topped 8 carries in any game. He did have 5 catches this week, which is good to see, but Jerick McKinnon is getting work. Pacheco is getting work. He scored a touchdown this week, but once again, there was a point when they got near the goal line and they went McKinnon on first down, Pacheco on second down, and then an incomplete pass to Kelsey. No Edwards-Helaire at all, and that's the issue here. He can't just keep getting by on 7 to 8 carries and 2 or 3 catches and just hoping that he rips off big runs or scores touchdowns. It's going to come to an end. And he's had 3 great matchups to start the season because this Colts defense without Shaq Leonard is not very good. The wheels are going to fall off at some point for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. But look, people want Edwards-Helaire to be good. Ever since he was drafted in the first round by the Chiefs, people want this guy to be good. Take advantage of that. Go trade him. Trade him for a better receiver or a better running back. Somebody on my buy low video. Package him with another good wide receiver and maybe get Jonathan Taylor. Maybe get DeAndre Swift. Maybe get CMC, somebody like that. Now is the time to trade Clyde Edwards-Helaire before he has a bad game and people realize, oh, I guess he can't keep doing this on very little volume. All right, I'm going to give you a couple deeper guys that I think you should trade away right now if you can. And let's start with Jamal Williams. This is a guy most people just drafted, put him on their bench in case DeAndre Swift gets hurt. And he's been really good to start the season. But you know what? Think back to last year. Jamal Williams was awesome to start the season. And then what happened? He did nothing and DeAndre Swift was great until he got hurt. That's what I think is going to happen this year too. Because DeAndre Swift is dealing with an ankle injury. They need more Jamal Williams right now. That's not going to be the case forever. When DeAndre Swift gets to 100%, he's going to get the bulk of the touches in this offense, and Jamal Williams is going to go back to being nothing more than kind of a handcuff running back. But people are desperate at the running back position right now. You can probably trade Jamal Williams for a decent wide receiver who can be in your lineup week in and week out. Maybe somebody that was on the buy low video, which you should go check out after you watch this one. So try to trade Jamal Williams right now. No, you're not going to fleece somebody and get a stud. But like I said, if you can get a serviceable wide receiver that will be in your lineup every single week, well worth it. And then another running back who people always overvalue Buffalo running backs, and right now they're going to overvalue Devin Singletary because he just had an 11 target, 9 catch, 1 touchdown game. That will never happen again for Devin Singletary. Number one, he's not a fantastic pass catching running back. That's usually the Zach Moss role in this offense. This was just a weird game. Things happen. And number two, we're starting to see James Cook get more involved. In week 2, he got involved, but it was mostly garbage time. In week 3, James Cook was getting involved, and it wasn't garbage time. This was a close game. They were losing. James Cook was out there catching passes, running the ball. That's only going to increase, and that's only going to kill Singletary's value. People want a piece of this Buffalo offense. Singletary is coming off a big game. Use it. Trade him. Kind of like Jamal. Go get a serviceable wide receiver that you can start every single week. You're not going to get a stud for Singletary, but if you can get a good player who's going to be in your lineup every single week, it's worth it. All right, now I don't have a lot of wide receiver sell highs because this wasn't a great week for wide receivers. Right after 2 great weeks in weeks 1 and 2, not a great week for wide receivers, especially the studs, but I do have a few. And let's start with the guy, DK Metcalf. Guess what, guys? For only the second time with Geno Smith, he went over 60 yards. A whopping 64. All right. But he also scored a touchdown. And people are going to see that and think, okay, he's okay. It's okay. Nobody panic. Maybe the first 2 weeks were just a blip. He'll be fine. But he had a great matchup against a terrible Atlanta secondary. And this is the best he could do, 64 yards and a touchdown. I think this is literally DK's Metcalf's ceiling this year. Like, he might only have 1 or 2 more games like this the entire year. Kind of like Dalvin Cook, though. People see the name DK Metcalf and they can't let go. They think he's a great player, and he is a great player. They think he's a great fantasy player to have, but he's not this year. This is the time to take advantage. You can finally trade this guy and get something usable back. Maybe a running back who you can start when you need him as a low-end RB2 or a flex play. Somebody like that would be great for DK Metcalf. No, you're not going to get a stud, but if you can move him right now coming off this good game, I think you have to do it. And then another guy who disappointed in weeks 1 and 2 but has that name value and people thought he would be good this year is Adam Thielen. Week 3, 8 targets, 6 catches, and also like DK, he caught a touchdown. And people are panicking about Justin Jefferson right now. They're worried about this offense for Justin Jefferson. They think maybe they're going to spread it around more. Maybe Thielen's going to be more involved. Maybe teams are going to put all their focus on Justin Jefferson and take him away, and that's going to leave Thielen wide open. This is how people think, and you can take advantage of this by trading Adam Thielen right now. He's a completely touchdown-dependent wide receiver at this point in his career. You shouldn't need Adam Thielen week in and week out. You should be able to move him, like I said with DK Metcalf, for a solid running back who can crack your lineup every week, either as a low-end RB2 or as a flex. So right now is the time, just like DK Metcalf coming off a nice game, move Adam Thielen while you can. Justin Jefferson's going to be great. He's going to be fine. Thielen is going to be very touchdown dependent. Trade him if you can. And then finally, a guy I really liked coming into this season and had a great week 3, and that is Russell Gage. But there's reasons to worry here, and there's reasons to think you should trade him right now if you can. Not racking up a ton of yards. Yes, he had good yardage numbers in week 3, but that's because he caught 12 passes. He's only averaging like 6 or 7 yards per catch. That is not going to get it done in fantasy week in and week out. And if you watch my buy low video, I talked about Chris Godwin. He's going to be back at some point. Mike Evans going to be back here in week 4. Russell Gage is going to be the 3rd receiver in this offense at some point, and that point is going to be when it matters most in the fantasy playoffs. So take advantage of this big game. People looking at this offense thinking, man, they don't have anybody to throw to. Russell Gage is going to be good week in and week out. And yes, Russell Gage may have a few more good games here, but eventually it's going to turn. Other guys are going to get involved, and Russell Gage's value is going to drop. You don't want to have Russell Gage when his value drops. Take advantage of him now, trade him, get something back in return that can help you long term, especially when it matters in the fantasy playoffs. All right, so now you know about some guys you should be trading away. What about guys you should be trading for? I talked about some of them in this video, but also start sit, waiver wire, panic players, booms, busts, everything you need to help you crush your week 4 opponent. We've got you covered right here with this playlist. Check it out. 10 videos to help you dominate.